Our next presenter is Davina Kaonohi. She's the CEO of Apothec. Apothec is a new disruptive CBD brand that's redefining the body care and wellness industry. Apothec is a trustworthy brand that's conscious to consumers, what consumers are demanding. So they've crafted clean, safe, and effective products with a medical oversight and are committed to complete transparency. They look to disrupt and change for the better, an industry that has abandoned responsibilities to their consumers' well-being and health. And I hope I didn't steal too much of your thunder, Davina. So it is all yours.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I was thinking that was some of my lines. I'm just kidding. So thank you so much, Tim, for putting together this event. And I really am honored to be here, especially in the presence of such incredible companies and investor judges and audience that's here. So as Tim said, I'm Davina Kaonohi. Everyone always gets the AO wrong because in Hawaiian, AO is AO instead. So I'm Davina Kaonohi, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Apothec. I'm going to share my screen now and share the pitch presentation. All right, so Apothec is a new CBD-focused body care and wellness brand, just like Tim was saying, and we're really focused on bringing transparency and trust to this market, which has been plagued by suspicion and a lack of integrity. We seek to elevate this growing $16 billion industry by bringing our luxurious line of clean, safe, and effective products to the conscious consumer. An interesting thing about Apothec is that we were born in a kitchen, not a lab. We didn't just join the industry to try to make money, which is okay, but there really is a story behind our brand. My great aunt was diagnosed with several medical conditions and autoimmune diseases about 10 years ago, actually 8 of them. And a lot of the medications that she was being prescribed were causing more severe side effects, where she was actually partially bedridden. What she did was she took her health into her own hands. She became certified in plant-based remedies and essential oils and started creating products that helped her and countless others. She actually created over 40 custom formulations. Someone would come and say, hey, I have this, and she would make something for them. So we really have an incredible suitcase basically of products, although we'll never launch that many, but we do have access and understand how they work together and how they have helped people over the years to be truly effective. What we did in forming Apothec was took those formulations, looked to bring a medical advisory team together, and now we're bringing those products from the kitchen to the world. One of the problems today in this space is that consumers don't know who or what to trust. As many of you know, the consumer today reads articles. There's constant FDA warnings about toxic and harmful ingredients, about inaccuracy in CBD. And so consumers really don't know when they're looking to turn to CBD, what products, what brands are there to help them. On top of that, there's so many companies that are white labeling. There's no transparency and a lack of variation. There's little or no medical oversight. Very few companies have a medical advisory team and are really looking to help elevate the industry. There's a lack of consumer education, and brands do not meet the needs of the conscious consumer today. The conscious consumer trend continues to develop, especially with COVID-19. People are really looking for brands and products that they can trust. The focus on self-care started obviously way before COVID, but I think it's only continued to increase, and really are looking for socially responsible companies. There's also a lot to be done with education in this space. The consumer knowledge of cannabis and CBD and dosing is really lacking. Over 70% of people are unfamiliar with terms like the entourage effect and the endocannabinoid system, which was a study done by Oasis Intelligence Survey. By focusing on consumer education, we can all help to elevate this industry and bring over those consumers that heard about CBD, have heard about cannabis, and are now ready to try it. So what's the solution? What are customers looking for? They're looking for a company like Apothec that has clean and safe products, complete transparency, We partner with a blockchain company so that consumers can see every ingredient, and eventually we'll have a map that they can see where every single product comes from. And we have very detailed COAs on all of our products. We have medical and scientific oversight, and I'll go over later our medical advisory team. We do have innovative and effective formulations. As I mentioned, these products were created for a need. Every single ingredient in there really has an impact. In addition to that, we're using CBD, CBG, CBN, some of these minor cannabinoids, and we're continuing to look to explore other ones as there's more research done, because they really do make the products that much more effective. Our never ever promise, it's really important to us. It's our promise to our consumer that we will never ever use any harmful or toxic ingredients in any of the products we create. And on top of that, consumers are looking for brands that focus on sustainability. Our Nourish lotion bottle, you can see there, is actually made from a sugarcane ethanol, which is really cool. And we're utilizing glass and post-consumer recycled products as much as we can. All of our outer packaging is cardboard. And so we're really, again, trying to meet the needs of the consumer so that they can turn to Element Apothec and feel like they can trust us. We also joined 1% for the Planet because we are a company with a purpose, and we want to not just say that, but actually continue to do that through all of our actions and being held accountable to that. And again, consumer education is a big focus. In terms of consumer education, I'm working with Dr. Swathi, who's our Chief Scientific Officer, to create a platform so all of our brand ambassadors, all of our retailers, all of our practitioners will actually be able to go through a program and learn probably way more than they ever wanted to know about CBD. But we're building an army of people that are educated, and not only does that help us, that really does help the entire industry. And an interesting thing is Dr. Swathi actually created a similar program for pharmacists that was actually approved by PharmD for accreditation. And so it's really thorough and really impactful. And we'll break that up into a whole bunch of other types of content to really give that to the consumer. And as you know, many of the people know in this space, the market opportunity is huge. It changes depending on obviously what you look at, but expected to reach approximately $16 billion in the next couple of years. And what's really interesting is there's 240 million new consumers that are expected to come into the market. On top of that, with the products that we have an opportunity to tap into the wellness market. And so it really gives an opportunity for exponential growth. In terms of our financials, we have built an aggressive financial plan, although we think we can probably even do better. With their unit economics of 3-to-1, we have really great retail margins and wholesale margins as well. And we'll be able to continue to improve those as we have more orders and are able to do more bulk purchases of some of our ingredients. So how does Element Apothec stack up? We really feel like we check all of the boxes in terms of what the consumer is looking for today. And yeah, the market is crowded and there are some other brands out there, but there really is a space for a company like Element Apothec to have success. And the team. So as an investor, you want to know, so this is great. The consumer likes your products, but how as a company are you going to be successful? Well, we've built an incredible team with over 60 years relevant experience in CPG and e-commerce, marketing, manufacturing, logistics, team building. Myself, I've been in the internet technology space and started out building teams for startups. I have my own entrepreneurial experiences of launching brands. And so I really know how to bring people together, and I understand the requirements to be successful as a company. We also have a great advisory board that has really helped us be able to be where we are at today. I'd like to highlight our medical advisory team. As I mentioned, we have our Chief Science Officer, Dr. Swathi, Dr. Marvin Singh, who's a diplomat of the American Board of Integrative Medicine. He recently became the head of integrative medicine for UC Irvine, and Dr. Raja, who also is an adjunct professor at UC Davis and has a very successful, a practice. And why did we build this team? We built this team so that not only for the consumers that they can trust that we're creating products, but we want to be innovative. We want to make sure that the products we continue to create are truly effective, that are really impactful. And so we can build the trustworthy consumer. Practitioners can turn to us when they're looking for a company that has products that they feel comfortable recommending. And what about our products? As I mentioned, we do have a line of products that are innovative and highly effective. We have 2 tinctures. The tinctures, depending on what they have, either of CBD and CBN, CBD or CBG, our relief balm, which we've incorporated CBG, CBN, and CBD, our Nourish lotion, which is CBD, CBG, and our face serum, which also has CBD and CBG. And so we really have looked to incorporate these minor cannabinoids. And as I mentioned, as we look to create new formulations in the future, we are looking at some of the other ones like CBC and THCA, which within themselves have variations in terms of how they can help improve products. And so how do we put our products out there? How do we look at our consumers? Our customer, we really look at from a psychographic perspective. And they're the consumer that wants to take better care of themselves. They're the consumer today that's been impacted by COVID or sees how important it is to take care of their bodies. They're the consumer that wants to support purpose-driven brands and sustainable brands and brands that give back. And so that's really how we look at our customer in terms of the type of marketing approach that we're taking. And our marketing plan is multi-compassed in terms of influencer marketing. We are just starting to reach out to influencers and have had great success. Content marketing, especially on the educational side, is going to be really important. Social media, to get out there as much as possible. Obviously, with social media ads, it's a little challenging, but we found ways to be able to work through it. And with digital ads, we're partnering with a digital marketing firm that has had success in this space and understands the intricacies. And so this is how we're going to be successful with a marketing plan, with building a great team, with a strong business model. So our business model, initially we're launching with D2C, although we do have some wholesale commitments. We will be offering subscriptions, and we just launched our brand ambassador program. So these are all ways that we feel that we can be confident in bringing in new consumers into our business. Some of the milestones to date, we started shipping our first orders last week, which is a big feat to launch our brand during COVID. And obviously we had some delays, but we've had really great response and feedback to the products. We've even had people that have shared with us their box unboxing videos because they really like the extra care that we've taken into the products. We recently signed a partnership with the Premier Medical GPO, which is going to have a big impact on distribution. They have over 200 practitioners to date that are signed with them. We're one of only 5 companies that they're working with. And so these practitioners already have a pre-vetted selection of companies that they can recommend to their consumers, and we're working with them on some special education. It's going to be a really great opportunity. We have retail partnerships already that we've established, as I mentioned, secured influencers and tier 1 media outlets that are going to start publishing editorial pieces on our company and our products. We've received pending B Corp certification and are in the thick of the full B Corp certification and 1% for the planet. And I talk about these certifications, Cert Clean certification, Clear for Me, and Leaping Bunny, because these are ways that we're going to help build trust with the consumer. Cert Clean certification validates that we don't use toxic ingredients. Clear for Me, Ulta works with, and that's who they use for their conscious beauty. Leaping Bunny to say that we are cruelty-free and vegan. And so these things continue to build trust, not just with the consumer, but also as we reach out to retailers and practitioners to work with. We are currently raising $500,000 on WeFunder, and we're doing that both through a Reg CF and a Reg D. And we went this route partly because of where we were at in terms of our launch, but also we wanted to have everybody participate and gain some traction along the way. And what's great is anybody can invest. You can invest if you're unaccredited for as little as $100. You can go right now to WeFunder and invest $100. Or accredited investors can invest as well at a larger sum. You may be asking yourself, why Element Apothec? why are consumers going to turn to us? Why should an investor turn to us? It's trust. It's trust with the products we create. It's trust with the team that we've built. It's trust with everything that we're doing. Invest now and join us on our journey to set a new standard of clean science. Element Apothec, never ever anything but good. Thank you so much.
Excellent presentation, Davina. Thank you so much. And certainly we enjoy your promise, your never ever promise. That is excellent. Excellent job of your leadership there as well. I want to open up the questions to the investor judges. If you do I have a question from our investor judges? David, you have a question?
Yes, Davina, great job. What is the cost or the unit cost per the unit price per tincture, per balm, per lotions and serums, and like the margins on those?
Yeah, so our unit cost is about 3 to 1 in terms of the margins. Retail, we're looking approximately about 85%. Some of it higher depending on the variation of the tinctures and the ingredients. And then on the wholesale side, we're approximately about 65 to 75%, again, depending on the variations of those products. And those will adjust, especially because we do use those minor cannabinoids. And right now, CBG and CBN are still relatively expensive. Those prices, we have seen a drop over the last several months and expect to continue. And there's companies that are formulating a combination of the minor cannabinoids. And so we'll have some adjustment in that will be an improvement. That's about where we're at right now.
Thank you so much. And then just a follow-up question in terms of the sourcing of a consistent CBD, do you foresee any potential problems with that?
I mean, currently, I think the company that we are sourcing from, I feel really confident. They have organic certification. They're a trusted company. And so I'm not really too concerned about that. The COAs are amazing and clean, and they're, continue to be consistent with the products that they're providing.
Great, thank you.
Davina, can you also provide your link to your WeFunder campaign in the chat? So if there's someone here who wants to go over and make an investment into your company through the crowdfunding, they can do so.
Okay, yeah, I definitely will.
So do we have other questions from the investor judge panel?
Davina, great presentation. I know you've got a big mission ahead of you, being transparency in the CBD business in general, and you tell a great story about your aunt, how this all came about. I don't know how many SKUs you currently have, but I was wondering, how did you come up with those? As far as, did you use some type of analytics to understand what would be the biggest demand in the market for these products? And again, you said you do have COA testing, but are you testing the products with your ingredients before you make the product, or are you only doing the testing afterwards? Because again, it comes down to, like you say, trusting. And I can assure you, from our perspective as a company, we tested about 20 different CBD products last year, and 99% of them came back with 0 CBD. So there's a big uphill challenge to be able to win the trust out there. And I'm just wondering again, if the marketing budget is going to be there, what you're asking for, because I say, I show you that 30% is your budget of the marketing cost of the 500 grand. I just don't know how much traction you're going to be able to get with that at this point. Yeah. It's a, you've got a big battle ahead of you, needless to say, to earn that trust for the CBD side.
Yeah, I do know that we have a big battle ahead of us, and I really do feel confident that we're going to be able to overcome this hurdle. And so to go back to the first part of your question in terms of how did we come up with these products, we did a lot of market analysis in terms of what were the products that consumers are really looking for, especially the conscious consumer. What do they need to help support sleep or help support anxiety? And so we looked to the products that really would have the easiest market adoption and what's already out there, but also how could ours fill a little bit of a different, angle than some of the other products are created. We also had a lot of customers that were before that had worked with my And so that also helped tell the story of what products they often were using and were demanding as well. So that's how we got to it. We are now working with the medical advisory team. Once we launch these products, obviously we have to continue the R&D, and they're looking at some of the things that they have seen as some of the common needs to support some of these other needs and conditions. You have to be so careful in what you say, but we are looking to really create products that help fill the void in what exists. But we launched with the products first that were the easiest to adopt for the consumer. In terms of the marketing budget, yeah, I think we probably 30%. It probably initially is going to be much more than 30%. We expect most of the raise is that we're continuing to do is either going to go towards marketing or for actually the sourcing of the products and ingredients, and then all of the other stuff that follows, because we do have to reach the consumer that has kind of been disenfranchised, like you said, by all of the negative feedback, all of the inaccurate, promises that are being made and testing. And so that is why we are focused a lot on education. But that's all going to be money to push that out there, and marketing, and really being able to cut through the noise.
Thank you. I know I asked you a lot. Thank you so much. Okay. Sorry, Josh, I didn't mean to take some of your time, sir.
Those good questions. Yeah, Davina, I wanted to ask a couple questions about the percentage of expected revenue from wholesale versus retail. 85% on retail, or excuse me, wholesale margins are good. What's the percentage of wholesale that you're going to have versus retail, though?
Yeah, I mean, right now we're primarily focused on our direct to consumer, so we expect that to make up a majority of our money coming in. But we did have this opportunity to partner with this GPO group, and so that's quickly going to change the dynamic in terms of what that looks like. Our goal is to get to about a 50-50 ratio, but it might actually shift heavier right now to start with this opportunity and some of these other wholesale opportunities that we're getting right now.
And then with the convertible note, is there a discount and a cap that goes with that?
Yeah, so there's a discount that goes with it. There's a 10% discount, and there's a 7% interest on that.
Okay. And then intellectual property. Is there anything, and also with roadblocks with the FDA, do you foresee any issues with the FDA, and do you have any intellectual property at the moment?
In terms of the FDA, I mean, we have an advisor actually that has worked with the FDA in his previous life. And so we're really being cautious of how we market our company, our labeling requirements. I think there's going to be much more requirements that are put on companies and responsibilities in terms of their transparency, in terms of their labeling and how they communicate things. And so we're really trying to abide by what we are expecting and anticipating to come down the pipeline. That can change and they can always throw a wrench in it, but we're really trying to stay on top of that as much as possible. And then what was your other question? I apologize.
The questions I had were about intellectual property.
Yeah, so in terms of intellectual property, we have started to look at exploring patents and things like that. It's kind of tricky in the CPG space and with formulations, but we have been really protective over our IP and our formulations, and in terms of the agreements that have been signed with the manufacturer that we work with, and really are holding those formulations close. But we are also exploring the possibility of looking at maybe patenting a combination of our own special mix that goes into each of the formulations, so that we hold that IP.
Thank you, Davina, and forgive me for the West Coast white boy pronunciation of your name. I'm probably going to get names all the time wrong, and I know that happens with me too. Oftentimes people mispronounce my name, and so I apologize for that. We do want to get, we have a couple of minutes, maybe like about 2 minutes to get to a couple of audience questions. So I do have a couple of audience questions here, one from Ryan Murphy. His question is, it's a saturated market, seems to be a saturated market, and there's a lot of competition with other MLM CBD companies that already exist. So can you talk about that and how you plan to be competitive in the saturated market?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to come down to a couple of things in terms of the marketing, the positioning that we take, education, and just really trying to show people, really establishing the trust and that we're different and that we're not just another white label product or multi-level market company that's pushing their stuff out there. And that's really the focus that we're taking in terms of how we're creating our messaging and trying to stand out in terms of the efficacy of our products, is really how we're differentiating ourselves.
We have maybe 1 minute to answer a couple of questions. So let me just ask a couple of questions here. First, where can you buy the product? Where can we get the product now? And can you talk about the product efficacy on your third-party testing? How are you confirming the efficacy?
So on our products, I'll put both WeFunder as well as our website link, but you can go to elementapothec.com, and we have an incredible 30% off right now for the holidays. Everyone should go on there and buy our products. And in terms of the third-party product efficacy and COAs, and Terry had asked that earlier as well. So in terms of our COAs, we have our testing before we start with our products with the CBD, and then we also do our COAs and testing after. And I think a lot of companies miss that step, and through the product formulation, things change and things shift. So we're really focused on really providing that level of transparency. With efficacy, we are going to be actually doing some actual in-person efficacy testing and observational studies with the GPO group that we're working with. And we're in conversations now with the testing lab that actually can test things. It's tricky because they sometimes test them on animal skins and stuff like that for absorption rates. And we're vegan and cruelty-free, so we're looking at some alternatives, but we're going to be and have done observational studies. And we have 10 years of consumers that have used the product and shown that they're actually really helpful and have been helpful and impactful.